Hey y'all. Hi, it's the moment you've been waiting for. It's finally time for another episode of What's Cheering Me Up Right Now? Yay! And yes, I did get a haircut, and it is one of the things that's cheering me up. I'm going to talk about it right after we transition to the meat of the video. If this is your first time to my channel, then welcome. I'm so glad that you clicked on this one. My name is Hannah, and I love beautiful things. This is a beauty channel, but I deeply appreciate beauty at large, not just makeup, not just cosmetics, but beauty. And so this is my monthly favorites video, or, regular favorites video, roughly monthly. I talk about everything that's cheering me up right now. It's not just a list of products. So if beauty content like that sounds good to you, wide-ranging, beauty at large, loving beauty content, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Now let's go ahead and get right into the meat of this video. Can you even? Can you even? I feel like I kind of have a naturally 70s look, and for my whole life I've resisted it, and now all of a sudden I'm leaning hard into it. I feel like that's what's going on, and I'm pretty here for it. Also, the whole thing was magical. One of the things that's really cheering me up is that I'm fully vaccinated and fully inoculated. I'm past the 2-week mark since my second shot. That's why I was able to go get a haircut. Julia and I went together. And one of the reasons it was magical is because one of those kismet things, my stylist, who I've loved, the stylist I've been going to for years here in LA, Rosemary, who I loved, she stopped working during the pandemic. She hasn't started cutting hair again. And so I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to find another stylist. And I was I wasn't like having anxiety about it. It was just one of the things in the back of my mind that I was like, I wonder what I'm going to do when it's finally time for me to get a haircut again, if Rosemary hasn't started cutting hair again. Do you guys remember when I cut my own bangs on a live? I cut my own bangs live on my channel. A day or two after I did that, I got an Instagram message from an incredibly talented and IMHO, glamorous and super cool stylist whose sweet, wonderful sister, who's one of my subscribers, you know who you are, I love you so much. Her sister had sent her, the stylist, the video and said, you've got to watch this. Hannah's cut her own bangs on live. And the stylist, sister of my dear subscriber, who I think also now watches some videos, her name is Jude. She sent me an email, or she sent me an Instagram message being like, I saw you cut your own bangs. You did it. She was really sweet. She was like, I think you did a good job, all things considered. And then she said, I'd love to cut your hair sometime. If you need someone, then, hit me up once you're ready to get a haircut. And I was like, I actually do need someone. And also scrolling Jude's Instagram, I was like, this is the one for me. It's this edgier stuff. I've been doing pretty symmetrical blunt cuts and kind of letting the texture, the sort of natural chaos of my hair push against the structure of a natural blunt cut. That's kind of what I've been doing the past several haircuts. But this time I really wanted a stylist to unleash the madness, to really use the natural texture of my hair as a springboard to go even further, which is, I feel, what has happened. I wanted a gentle shag, but a shag that's never heard of a mullet, as shaggy as you can get without even touching the concept of mullet in the subconscious, like a shag in a world where a mullet is punishable by law. That's what I wanted. And not only did she nail it, but the whole experience was gorgeous. It was so pleasurable. It was so lovely to meet Jude. I will put her Instagram down below. If you don't live in LA, but you just want some haircut inspiration, you absolutely must follow her. If you do live in LA, you absolutely must make an appointment with her. And she did an amazing job on Julia's hair. And Julia was going for a whole different vibe. She got sort of a shorter cut. Julia's like Debbie Harry, but without the bangs. Julia said she wanted it to be like Debbie Harry and a soccer mom had a hair baby on her head. And it came out looking stunning as well. We were both very, very pleased. So that really cheered me up. Surprisingly, the thing that has been the most amazing about it, because there are many amazing things about it, I think it looks really, really good, but in kind of a different way for me. It's almost like it makes my strong features stronger instead of softening them. And I'm just okay with it. I'm just going with it. Apart even from the look, the thing that's been amazing about it is that all my hair is out of my face, even when it's down, and it's not heavy. So I've actually been wearing my hair just down loose every single day since I got it cut. And now it's been almost 5 or 6 days since I got it cut. I've just been wearing it down and loose, and it hasn't been bothering me. And it hasn't been in my face. I haven't had that feeling like I need to get it off my neck. I need to get it off my shoulders. And it's been a really long time since I felt that way about my hair. So I'm super excited. This is like the quintessential wash and go for me. And, I did F up my bangs. Jude sort of showed me how I had taken them too wide. I started cutting into the part of my hair that shouldn't really be bangs. And she did a good job of blending them. I think that there's still some parts here that it'll be better when they're longer. Probably in a month or two, it'll really have grown into itself. I haven't washed it since I had it cut. It was last Saturday, so I'll be washing it again on Saturday. But I did put a little bit of texturizing stuff in it. I've kind of put it up when I've showered. So it's had a little bit of time to settle into itself. But she dried it with a diffuser, and I never heat style my hair. So it might be that it hangs or sits a little differently once I wash it. We'll see. It just feels 1,000 times healthier. I didn't realize how kind of nasty it had gotten, in the back of my scalp and the ends. It had gotten really, really dry. And I think I'm going to try a new product, a new washing product. I'm going to do a hair thing. We're going to do a new hair regimen guided by the magical Jude, new hair plan, and I'll review it. Okay. I'm not going to spill all the beans about that right now, but I'll check back with you in a couple of months and we'll talk about hair. Also regarding my look today, I'm wearing my custom palette. This palette that I built on camera. It's this Natasha Denona bronze, Natasha Denona brass, and then this ColourPop glitter. The glitter is called Get Lost, and that's it. That's the whole look. So I used a dark brown from the Persona Identity 2 palette to just deepen up the outer corner, but that's pretty much it. And so I've been enjoying, since I built it, which I did on camera, I'll link that video. I've really been enjoying using my custom palette. It always cheers me up to have a newly arranged palette of singles. But I've been particularly enjoying the inspiration that I had, which was to have matte shades, or in this case, shimmer shades, but then with the wash of chunky glitter all over to kind of change the color and make it really shiny. I've pretty much been wearing my eyeshadow like that every day since I built this custom palette, and that's been really, really fun. So just to translate it for you, if you don't have singles or you're not, it's not about the color story. What I'm saying is that what's been cheering me up is to do kind of pretty much a basic all over the lid look, like a single tone look with maybe a tiny bit of smokiness, and have it just be one color and then the whole thing coated in chunky glitter. So it ends up being a pretty simple look, but kind of high impact. It's like that magical cross between high impact shine and it looking like you didn't try too hard. One of the things that's interesting is that now that I'm able to go out and about, which I haven't been doing that much of, honestly, because I still have to work and I still have to take care of the baby, and the baby can't get vaccinated. So we have to be careful. It's not like I can just grab her and just take her with me and go running to the grocery store. We still are kind of in an in-between place. We're still being really, really careful, but at least I'm able to go, get my hair cut. We're not having to be as exceedingly careful as we've been this whole time. I've gone a couple of places. I did go to the grocery store to pick up a couple of things, and I went and got my hair cut, and I went to the doctor. So I've been wearing my mask more because for me, the pandemic has been a time during which I almost never left the house. So a lot of people have been living a very masked life during this past year, but I haven't. I've barely worn my mask because I've barely gone anywhere. But I've been wearing my mask more lately because I've been vaccinated. I've been leaving the house. And so I've been experiencing that thing where it's all of the impact of your face comes from your eyeshadow. And I feel like what I've been doing with the wash of color and then the wash of glitter has worked really well for that, because I felt like it doesn't look like I'm wearing a full glam eye look or this intense Instagram eye just to run errands. It does look like I just slapped it on, and I love that look. I love to look like I just slapped it on, but the color and the glitter makes it high impact. It makes it kind of a lovely thing to have with a mask. So having built this custom palette, having had that inspiration, and then wearing those shades and seeing how it works out for me, that is something that's been giving me a thrill lately. It's one of the things that's been cheering me up. So the haircut, the custom palette, I've kind of been dancing around it, but I just put on this list that being vaccinated and being able to do some more things than I've been able to do for the whole past year is one of the things that's been cheering me up. Again, it's not as though we're all of a sudden going to Disneyland or things aren't going back to normal, right? I mean, whatever you'd consider back to normal to mean. For Joe and me, things will never go back to normal. I mean, we moved out of our apartment, we closed our business. Life is irrevocably changed. You know what I mean? We moved in with our friends. Like, we're just going forward from here. So we're not going backwards. But even with that established, life hasn't gone back to normal in terms of like a normal amount of going out, a normal amount of just like, I don't know, going to restaurants, going to parties, or like going to the movies, or what. We haven't really been doing those kinds of things. But just to be able to loosen the reins a little bit and see some friends, a very, very, very good, very old friend of mine, someone who I've known for most of my life, is in LA right now for a couple of months. And he's come over a couple of times and we've sat in the backyard and talked. And the most recent time he came over, we were able to hug. And so he's the first person that I've hugged besides Joe and my 2 housemates in over a year. And that's wild. It's totally profound. And, you know, to be able to see a really good old friend and to be able to give him a hug is awesome. I'm really excited to see Lauren, Lauren May Beauty. We are trying to get it together to make a plan to see each other, and I'll be able to give her a hug when I see her. And I absolutely can't wait. Oh my God, I'm like tearing up. All right, we're getting it together. Lauren, girl, can't wait to see you. Can't wait to hug you. But yeah, I mean, all that fact, just that blows everything out of the water. I mean, even the haircut, you know what I mean? Even the haircut, definitely the glitter eyeshadow, just being able to hug a friend, being able to go to the grocery store, which was very confusing and weird, but good, you know, like it's good to have some movement. And, you know, have at least for now, this next phase be one during which we can connect more with the people that we love and do more of the things that make up the life that we have. So it's been amazing to finally be fully vaccinated and just be able to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief for now. Let's talk about, actually, speaking of being vaccinated, let's talk about 2 television shows. And the reason it's related to vaccination is because that second shot hit me hard, y'all. It hit me hard. Netflix has been trying to get me to watch the cartoon revival of Carmen Sandiego. And I was like, I'm not, for a long time, I was like, I'm not watching that. I was like, you know, yes, Avatar: The Last Airbender, loved it. The Dragon Prince, loved it. But Carmen Sandiego, the animated series, I was like, that's like an animated series too far. I didn't know anything about it at the time, but I was resisting it, okay? Netflix kept recommending it, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm not an actual baby. I have the television tastes of a baby, but I'm not an actual baby, so like maybe we don't have to go here. And then I started watching it while I was laid up from my second vaccination shot, and I loved it so much. Maybe I am an actual baby, but I loved it so much. I'm not, though. I'm not an actual baby. I actually think it's good. I think it's really good. And if you're like me and you have my same tastes and you've been thinking to yourself that Carmen Sandiego, the animated series, was just a baby step too far, just take that baby step. You won't regret it. It's great. The characterization's really good. Like the characters, the way that it pokes fun at the genre of like detective spy, you know, heist kind of film and television and series, and the way that it refreshes the story and that it refreshes that genre. It's just good. I loved it. So I strongly recommend. I watched the entire thing. I think there are like 4 seasons. I watched the entire thing over those couple of days. And then I had like one day more where I was still sick, and so I was looking around for something else to watch. And I've been following Bob the Drag Queen and Monet Exchange have been doing like a YouTube recap show of Drag Race. Sibling Rivalry is the name of their wonderful podcast that they do together. And they've been doing a spin-off of it called Sibling Watchery, where they watch Drag Race and then they talk about it together, podcast style. So of course I've been watching that because I love Bob and Monet. Drag Race ended, and then they were like, what should we do next? And then they decided that they're going to continue Sibling Watchery, but it's going to be the next season of the voguing competition show Legendary. I had never watched it. They're going to be doing Sibling Watchery of season 2 of Legendary, and I haven't even watched season 1. So I was like, well, if Bob and Monet are going to be reviewing season 2, then I want to watch along with them and like be able to watch their recap of it. But first I need to watch season 1. So I went and I watched season 1, and I mean, if you know me, if you know what kind of television I like and what I like, and you've seen Legendary, then you'll be like, yeah, it was a no-brainer. It was absolutely a no-brainer. I mean, it's like, where have I been where have I been all its life? It's like, where has it been all my life? It's like I fell asleep and dreamed it into existence. It's so good. So it's a competition show, a voguing competition show based on the ballroom scene, in which actual ballroom houses compete against each other. So I learned a lot about voguing. I learned a lot about ballroom. I knew some about it. It wasn't like I had no exposure. I mean, of course, I've seen Paris is Burning and I've read a bunch about it, and I've watched all the seasons of Drag Race, which there's some reference to ballroom culture in Drag Race. A good bit. I mean, there's a good bit of cultural reference to it, and then there's some direct reference to it on Drag Race. And I'll leave some links down below in case you don't know what I'm talking about and you're curious. But the thing that I recommend that you do is definitely to watch Paris is Burning, the documentary, if you have never seen it, but then to go watch Legendary if you can, because it was pure delight. I was like lying there sick from my second vaccination shot, vibrating with excitement and joy and glitter and just like full to bursting. I mean, it's just extraordinary. Those are two things that really cheered me up. First, the Carmen Sandiego animated series, and then Legendary on HBO. And the second season has launched, and I watched the first episode of it. Unfortunately, we're having to film without an audience for the second season, but the first season they had an audience for almost the whole time. Here's Sadie scratching. Where is she? I feel like Sadie hasn't been on my channel in a while. She hasn't had a cameo in a while. Sadie watched all of Legendary with me, and she loved it too. You just want to stay? You want to stay right here? Take it to the runway, runway, runway. Where were we? I'm all flustered because I was trying to explain why Legendary is so good, and then Sadie always makes me flustered because she's so cute. How could she not? Okay, let's talk about a recipe. I always love to share a recipe, and it's always an elegant one because I cook a lot. I often cook yummy stuff, you know what I mean? And I have I'm always finding new recipes, and I follow the recipe and I cook the thing. And a lot of times it turns out yummy and I'm like, this is great. This food is good. But what causes me to want to bring a recipe to you guys is when I hit on one that is delicious, nutritious, and incredibly easy and elegant to make. Like, you can't believe how quick it is, or how it's not complicated. It doesn't require a bunch of like timing stuff or too much chopping and preparation. You know what I mean? Something that's pretty easy to do, but then it turns out with something quite original. Like, obviously, there's a lot of stuff that's easy to cook. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to roast vegetables. You just put olive oil on them, put them in the oven, you know? So it's like the combination of it being easy, but the result being something that's kind of different from everything that I always end up doing. I hit on one recently. It's also an Ottolenghi recipe. I've shared a bunch, I think, of Ottolenghi recipes because he's one of my favorite recipe creators, one of my favorite chefs. So this one is, it's a za'atar and sumac salmon in tahini sauce that's baked in the oven. So you rub the sumac and the za'atar on the salmon, and then and it also has spinach in it. It was so good. You like saute the spinach, then you put the salmon on top of the spinach, and you fry it for a second, and then you put it in the oven. And then you pull it out of the oven after a while, and you pour a sauce made of tahini into the pan around it. And then you put it back in the oven, and the tahini like bakes, and it kind of puffs up and bakes almost like some sort of batter around the salmon. So when you pull it out, it's like the salmon is embedded in this baked tahini that's kind of bread-like around it. And it's really quick and easy, and it has all of the elements of a good, yummy meal. You know what I mean? Like a nutritious meal. It's got the protein, it's got the spinach. And then if you serve it over rice, there's a little bit of starch there too. And it's got this yummy sauce. And I couldn't believe how quick it was and how kind of fancy it ended up being. So that's like one of my favorite recipes I've come across in months, absolute months. And I'm going to be putting it in rotation, and I wanted to share it with you. So I'll link that down below. And then lastly, the last thing on my list is kind of an abstract one. And it's also kind of related to the fact that I am able to go out a little bit and see a couple of friends. And also because we are now vaccinated, we're starting to think about what we want to do next. You know what I mean? Like, we've been just hunkering down and waiting for this part of this pandemic to be over. And now it's a new phase. You know what I mean? So there's a sense of change. We don't know what we're going to do yet. Like, haven't made any decisions. Obviously, I'll tell you if there are any big life changes. Just knowing that thinking about them is on the horizon, and even just being able to see people, maybe even see my family, it's giving me a chance to practice the principles of the compassion class that I took. I know I've talked about it a lot before, but in case you haven't ever heard me talk about it, I took a class. It was like a compassion immersion class, just, guidance for living a more open-hearted and compassionate life and finding a kind of inner balance, which I've always been seeking. I found that this particular kind of guidance in the class that I took has helped me a lot. But, it's one thing to like practice those principles when you're just at home with the same 4 people all the time for months on end. It's another thing to see those principles in action when you kind of start going out, doing more things, your calendar starts filling up, you're busier, you're spread thinner, you know what I mean? So that's starting to happen to me. I'm getting busier, I'm getting spread thinner. And it's as if I'm applying the muscles that I developed during this time to new tasks. And that has really been a major feature of my life over the past month, my inner life. It's what I've been thinking about every day. It's like what I'm going through right now. And so maybe it's a bit much to say it's what's cheering me up, but it is, I like it. It's something that I like. And it's been a wonderful aspect of the fact that things are changing a little bit for me now. So I did want to mention that. The class, I think the next one isn't going to come around for another month or so, but I will put the link down below in case you're interested and you want to put it on your calendar. I think you can already go ahead and sign up. But I think that more the point of mentioning it here is just to say, I think it's probably to be expected that one's inner life, the way that one kind of processes the world, is going to be different going forward. You know what I mean? Like after this year of quarantine, if you're going through something like what I'm going through where your life is changing, maybe some of the restrictions are lifting, but you're finding that as you interact with people, as you encounter people, it's not what it was. I think it's good to just think about that actively, make that a thing that you're going through right now and ask yourself, what's different? Why am I different? And, how do I want to be? Not in a really high pressure way, but just, I think it's a really lovely opportunity to observe, right? To get to know oneself better. It's an extraordinary moment, something we've never gone through before. And I've been appreciating taking the time to kind of hold my own hand through this transition. So I wanted to add that one in here, and that's it. Those are all the things that have been cheering me up. A couple of circumstantial things, a couple of self-care things, a couple of television shows, a recipe, and my entire spiritual life all in one video. Of course, I would love to know what's cheering you up. Please put it in the comments down below. Please put it in the comments down below. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.